My mother hid me at my brother's engagement, dinner golden child drama, with the truth they couldn't stop. My name is Emily Carter. I'm 33 years old. And the night my family's favorite lie finally died, it died holding a champagne flute. A federal judge was standing at the end of my mother's dining table, making a toast about my brother's engagement. My mother was glowing. My brother was smiling. Everybody was dressed like a magazine ad for respectable people. Then the judge stopped in front of me, looked me dead in the eye, and asked, "Who are you to them exactly?" And just like that, the whole room went silent. Now, that is a spectacular question to get asked in your own mother's house. Especially when your parents spent the last 20 years acting like you were some distant cousin who occasionally wandered in from weather. A few hours earlier, my father had called me at 1:30 inches the morning to say I could come to dinner. But I needed to keep my mouth shut. My mother had shouted in the background that my brother's future father-in-law was a federal judge, and I was not to embarrass them with my job. Mid-job. As if being an investigative reporter was some criminal hobby, I picked up behind a gas station. They wanted me to say I did simple office work in Chicago. Because apparently, she exposes corruption and holds powerful people accountable, did not fit the warm little family brochure my mother had printed in her head. The file centers on Emily being told to hide her real career before dinner with a federal judge tied to her brother's engagement. To understand why that question hit like lightning, you need to understand the mantle test. When I was 7, I noticed the shelf over our fireplace held 6 framed photos. 5 were of my little brother Ryan. Sports uniforms, birthday smiles, church clothes, Christmas outfits, the full deluxe package. There was one photo of me, and it was shoved behind a ceramic angel and fake ivy, like I was being hidden from law enforcement. So I moved it, put it right in the center. The next day, it was back behind the plant. That was the first mantle test. After that, I kept trying to earn my way into full view. Straight A's, awards, scholarships, a full ride to Northwestern. Every achievement was me thinking, maybe this time my mother will see me. Instead, she skipped my graduation ceremony to watch my brother almost get put into a game. That really tells you everything, doesn't it? In my family, Ryan was the story. I was the editing error. So I left for Chicago, built a career, and became the kind of reporter who chases records, asks dangerous questions, and writes stories powerful people wish had stayed buried. Eventually, I landed at the Chicago Herald and built a reputation in investigative journalism. And every time I won something, my mother found a way to shrink it. Promotion? I worked in some little office. Award? I was struggling. Byline on the front page? City life had changed me. Ons. A neighbor asked if I was still dealing with that depression thing. I had never even been diagnosed with anything. My mother had simply found that vague pity photographed better than pride. Meanwhile, Ryan sold used cars, which is honest work. But in my mother's retelling, he was basically the Secretary of Transportation, regional executive, corporate star, fleet deal wizard. The Golden Child cinematic universe had a very healthy budget. The source describes Emily's mantle test, her journalism career, and her mother repeatedly minimizing it while inflating Ryan's ordinary sales job. Then came the dinner. I drove back to Maple Grove after work in a blazer I'd worn when I accepted a national award. Not because I planned a scene. Because somewhere deep down I needed a reminder that I was real, even if my family preferred fiction. I got there early. And my mother was already in full production mode. Seating chart. Place cards. Smile calibrated. My seat was at the far corner of the table. Of course. Because even the dinner geometry knew my role. When I asked if she was really going to introduce me as someone doing generic office work, she said, "No one cares what you do." That sentence has a special kind of cruelty. Because it's not just dismissal, it's a demand for self-erasure. Then the guests arrived. My brother's fiancée Megan came in warm and open and normal. The kind of person who still assumes other people are telling the truth. Behind her came the judge and his wife. And when my mother introduced me as the daughter who works in an office in Chicago, the judge took my hand, looked at me a beat too long, and I knew something was clicking into place. He recognized my name, not from Christmas cards, from court. Months earlier, he'd presided over a civil case tied to a police shooting series I had spent months reporting. He had even praised my work after a panel once. I never told my mother. There was no point trying to win the mantle test with someone who preferred props over people. The uploaded story explains that the judge knew Emily from her reporting on a police shooting case and recognized her at the dinner. Dinner went exactly the way you'd expect. My mother bragged about Ryan's inflated career, redirected every question away from me, sent me for ice, rolls, coffee. Basically anything that kept me from speaking too long. The judge noticed. His wife noticed more. Then he stood for a toast. Talked about family, character, trust. And then, like a surgeon choosing the exact place to cut, he stopped in front of me and asked, "Who are you to them exactly?" For 1 second, I considered doing what my mother wanted. Smile. Shrink. Lee. But I was tired. Tired in my bones. Tired in my name. Tired in every version of myself I had handed over just to keep peace for people who never once kept peace for me. So I told the truth. I am their daughter and Ryan's sister. And I'm an investigative reporter for the Chicago Herald. My mother laughed that brittle laugh liars use when the floor starts giving way. She tried to correct it. Called it writing, office work. Nothing serious. And then the judge turned to her and said my reporting had been some of the most important journalism in his courtroom. Cited in legal briefs. Thorough. Courageous. You could almost hear my mother's fantasy curling at the edges. Then the judge looked at Ryan and asked for his actual title. Not the deluxe edition. The real one. Ryan finally admitted he was a senior sales associate. Not a director. Not corporate. Not flown around like automotive royalty. Just a man with an honest job and a mother who considered honesty bad branding. In the pivotal dinner scene, Emily tells the truth about her reporting career. The judge praises her work, and Ryan is forced to admit his real job title. That's when the engagement started collapsing in real time. Megan looked at Ryan like she was seeing him for the first time. The judge's wife said the quiet part out loud. This wasn't family pride. This was control. My father, who had spent years perfecting the art of existing like furniture, finally admitted my mother had gone too far. Then my mother said the line that explained everything. She said she wanted them to see our family at our best. Meaning what? Exactly. The daughter who exposes police misconduct had to become an office girl. The son selling cars had to become an executive. Reality had to be sanded down until it matched her preferred centerpiece. Megan took off the ring. My mother wailed. Ryan accused me of ruining everything. And I finally said the one thing I should have said years earlier. I did not want the spotlight. I wanted a seat at my own family's table, where I did not have to lie about who I am. Then I stood up and left. The source recounts Megan calling off the engagement after the lies are exposed. And Emily walking out after setting her boundary. The part I love most is this: I didn't destroy the lie. I just stopped carrying it. That's the difference. People like my mother survive on borrowed silence. They need everyone else to help hold the stage set upright. The minute one person says, "No, actually, that wall is fake," the whole performance starts wobbling. Afterward, my mother sent messages blaming me. Ryan blamed me too. Then, eventually, something shifted. Megan reached out and wanted to hear my side without editing. Ryan started therapy. My father apologized in the saddest 3 words I've ever seen on a screen. And months later, when I went back home, my childhood photo was finally front and center on the mantle. A small thing, almost laughably small. But when you've spent your whole life being moved behind the ivy, small things are not small. I'm not going to tell you everything became perfect. It didn't. But it became honest. And honest is better. Because love that demands you shrink is not love. It's management. If someone needs you to lie about who you are so they can feel proud of themselves, they are not protecting you. They are protecting their story. So yes, I told the truth at that table. Not to humiliate anyone. Not to steal a moment. Not to win. I told the truth because I was done auditioning for a place that should have already been mine. And the funniest part? The federal judge, my mother was so desperate to impress, did not honor her golden child fantasy. He saw me. Turns out the only thing more powerful than a family lie is one woman finally getting tired of being edited out.